Only one. Pick one. Pick the one you like, yeah.
Okay. Advice is only as valuable as your willingness to follow it. Whenever you struggle with any given subject, seek guidance from a more experienced, better equipped person. However, leave your own opinion at the door and do not try to prove it right. Listen carefully and ponder. Then make what seems to be the best decision. Moreover, don't let good advice fall on deaf ears. Examine everything, hold fast to that which is good, states the apostle in the name of the good.
You want to read the other one? Or go?
Other one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take a firm stand when it comes to preserving your health. Many illnesses can be traced back to mental instability, emotional imbalance, and negative spirit-related influences. Anxiety, fear, pessimism, anger, jealousy, and hatred are responsible for yet uncatalogued diseases that ravage people's physical, emotional, and mental health. Strive to maintain your peace of mind, cultivating good thoughts that will bring you inestimable benefits. The quality of your physical existence depends on what you prefer to think about.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Thank you, Sophia. That's exactly the case, right? Okay, let's say our prayer and elevate our thoughts and say, Mother, Father, God, Divine Creator, here we are, your children, navigating life, but let us be aware that there's a purpose. We're here for a reason. We're here to learn, become strong, and become creators of our own, creating lives that will manifest your love wherever we go, wherever we are. And if our will is not strong yet, one day will be. We have the seeds you planted long, long ago. Let us nurture and create the space in our own hearts, in our own minds, in our own souls, so we may become an extension of your light and your love. And with that in mind, we humbly ask permission to open our Spiritual Sunday this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I was perfect messages, by the way, Sophia. There, we're going to be talking about that as always. But today, I got a random part of the gospel to talk about. I try to get it so we don't repeat the same topics, but just for a change, we got one of the toughest chapters, chapter 10 of the gospel, because it's the one that talks about mercifulness. Mercifulness. There, to me, is one of the hardest lessons, because there's two very important passages that, according to the gospel, according to Jesus, without those two actions or those two behaviors, we cannot grow spiritually. Two of them, which are forgiveness and they do not judge, right? So I think once you wake up for spirituality, at least you try not to do hurting of others, right? So at least you become more aware. So what is about spirituality? Being spiritual is caring about people, understanding that people are spirits, not just me, but everybody else. So which means everybody else is a spirit that will never die. That's the spirituality in a nutshell. They're not just bodies moving around that I can dispose, right? That I can even destroy, because bodies can be destroyed, right? You can kill people. People can kill you. But you're not the body. You are a spirit. So you won't die. And neither any one of you around you. So this is spirituality. When you understand spirituality, that's simple. That's the core, the concept of spirituality that is the most important and unites all religions, all philosophies. If you believe that, whatever whatever movement you're part of, or even if you don't believe anything, even if you don't even believe God, right? But if you understand that humans are spirits, are things that are something we don't fully understand yet, but they never die. They just simply leave and go to a sequence of experiences in the flesh. That's the spirituality. That's it. You're spiritual. That's the spiritual thought, right? So when you wake up for that, what happens? You start seeing people around you with other eyes. You start thinking about them. That's why compassion becomes natural, right? Because you can think like, well, those people don't deserve anything because they're horrible or whatever. But what happened is that's not compassion, right? Because that's putting a group of people in a situation where they're not humans. And by the way, that's how we do harm to each other. If you look at all political, philosophical philosophies that destroy, that's what they do. They create a group of people that are not deserving, right? They're not deserving. For some reason, for something they did or done, who knows? Humans are very creative. But we separate them. When we think about compassion is when you see another person, when you interact with another person, you see them as a human being as you. With feelings, with emotions, with them. I always, I don't know if you ever noticed when you watch a movie that's usually a war movie or any movie pretty much that has tons of violence. A lot of people die, right, in those movies. But they never spend any time describing the people that die in the movie. They're figurants. They're people that never show up. The hero, the people that are in the plot that you know about them, they seldomly die, or if they die, it's a very big thing. Imagine for every person that in a war movie you watch or something, every person that died in that situation, they talked about their mom, their dad, their children, or their wives or husbands. You couldn't take it. You wouldn't watch the movie. It would hurt you so much, right? Because that's what it is. But that's in reality what it is. No one is an island, right? That's why compassion is the beginning of spirituality, right? It's connecting with other beings. It's seeing every other person around you, every person you're interacting with as a human being, right? And here comes the teaching. So for today, when Jesus talked about being merciful, it's one step above that, compassion. The problem we have is simple. If you navigate through a physical life, let's say you live to be 100. You're born and you go through a whole bunch of experiences and you reach 100 years old, right? What are the chances of you living a full life without finding someone that's not compassionate to you, or someone that doesn't treat you well, or doesn't respect you? I would say it's close to 100%. You're going to find someone during a whole life. You may be blessed in being an amazing community, an amazing family, where most people have compassion to you, respect you, and even you might find a few people that love you and give you a lot to you, right? That's amazing. But I tell you for sure that at some point in your life, you're going to find someone that doesn't. And if you're not lucky, quote unquote lucky, you might have a lot of those people in your life. A lot of people that cause you a lot of harm, that don't appreciate the way you are or don't even have compassion for you, don't see you because they're not spiritualized. In fact, a significant portion of the population of the planet right now is not spiritualized. We believe we're just flesh, we're just bodies moving around that are disposable, right? That's the main view today. So chances are you're going to meet one of those people in your life, right? And here comes the thing. Every single one of us will have that experience. We'll find someone that will treat us in a way that's unfair. And what the gospel tells us, what's the teaching? The teaching is to be forgiving. Is to be forgiving. And this to me is one of the hardest part. Because sometimes we're in the right. We are in the good, we're doing the best we can. When we actually, imagine we just made a decision to take care of people, to be mindful, be compassionate. And yet, sometimes we even think God hates us or God's punishing us. And it couldn't be further from the truth. That is a must skill we have to develop on earth. When Jesus talked about forgiving others, he's talking about not allowing your life to be destroyed, compromised by actions of other people. When you never forgive, if you don't forgive, look at this. Look at the logical thing. If you don't forgive, the power of your life moved away from you. You take the control you have, the choices you have in your mind, and you put in the actions of somebody else. Because what happens when we don't forgive people for the things they do to us? We think about that. It's in our mind. It pollutes our ideas. We think about that sometimes all the time. Sometimes we are consumed by the wrong that was done to us. Who is that doing harm to? Yourself. It's me. I'm being harmed. Sometimes the person that did it doesn't even think about that. They don't care. Sometimes they're super fine. They're having a good life. But me, if I don't forgive, if I don't move on from those things, I'm consumed. I'm the one suffering. And people sometimes think about forgiving. Like, I'm not going to go forgive you ever. Like if they're giving something to somebody else. You're not giving anything to anybody else. You're giving something to yourself. Because when you forgive, you choose to not allow what was done to you to define you. You allow space in your mind for you to grow, for you to move on, for you to be happy, for you to find your balance. It's for you you're giving forgiveness to others, not for them. And even worse, because for them, we don't know. They're going to find their own lessons. God is loving. The laws of nature are all the same, right? And here comes the other part, the other side of the coin. How many times we do harm to others without even knowing? Because we're not thinking. We don't even intend to do harm. But sometimes life puts in situations where we make decisions and all of a sudden we hurt somebody we don't even know. I don't know if it ever happened to you, but I've been in that situation a few times where I did something I thought was appropriate, but somebody got offended or got hurt by what I said or what I did, or I didn't use the best words when I was talking about something. Tell me something about that. When we don't use the best words, sometimes we get excited or sometimes we are too passionate about something. And I'm not even talking about bad intent. I'm talking about good intent. You're still trying to do the best and being compassionate. But you say words and people interpret them differently or they feel it differently, right? So we never know how many people we're hurting by just moving around sometimes, right? Imagine if you had the intention to hurt. Then it's a whole different game, right? But that's why the second part is to not judge. Why is so strong in the gospel, the teaching of do not judge others? Because we don't have the full picture. When we look at each other, we don't have the full picture to what's going on with that person. We see a body, we see a face, we see the superficial emotions that are coming. But what's that person dealing with? Like, for instance, one typical example, bullying. It's a horrible thing, right? That we deal with. Nowadays, we're dealing much better with that. So we're doing a lot of awareness campaigns about stopping bullying. But traditionally or typically, if you study the bully, it's a person that is struggling in his family, in his own life. Bullying is in many cases a reflection of the life the person lives. When I go back into my memory when I was growing up and the challenge, of course, back then things were different than they are today. But I noticed many of the kids that were more aggressive, right? They were living hell home. They just brought the hell they had home to the school or to somewhere else. And everybody was mad with them sometimes. Sometimes, I mean, we would think, like, why are they doing this insane things? We never thought about them as like what they're going through in their homes. And it's so humbling to me right now to look back and say, oh man, I don't know what those kids were going through. That's why two pillars of progress are really, don't judge, because you never know exactly what's going on with the people around us. We don't know what they're going through, right? We don't know. We simply don't know what they're going through. And the other is being merciful to those that do harm to us, right? Every time I don't forgive, every time I grudge, I cling into what was done to me, I'm choosing to bring that pollution, that destruction to my life. And why now comes the last beat of awareness for us to make a point. Because we don't die, because our experiences never end, actually forgiveness is the only way. Because eventually we're going to make amends with whoever we are interacting with. Eventually we are going to grow. Eventually this is going to happen. So that's the direction we're going. That's why it's worth it to work on that. Okay? So I hope it gets clear to you as well why these teachings are not religious at all. They're simply spiritual. They're simply the natural way to overcome one of the most difficult barriers in our lives, which is dealing with the situations that are imposed on us in interacting with others. I hope you get it, that this is not, that's why Jesus was so emphatic in forgiveness and in not judging. It will come naturally as we understand this, as we understand ourselves as spiritual beings. And with that in mind, we're going to move now to our passes, to our meditation, right? And thank you very much to everybody.